I am Michelle B and I am here with Erin May Henry. We are filming a collaboration video. We were saying before, like the last time I had someone physically in my videos was like 3 years ago. It was like the boyfriend tag. In this video, we're going to talk about 5 things that have improved our life recently. So these could be things from like apps to like habits that we've started, like a multitude of things. And I'll let Erin introduce herself because I feel like you'll do it better than I would.
Hi everyone, I'm Erin. I am a personal branding strategist and a YouTuber. I have a channel that's all about entrepreneurship. I do a lot of self-development stuff and spiritual stuff over there as well, but specifically speaking to those of you who are trying to build a better life, build a business, beat to the sound of your own drum and just blaze your own trail pretty much. So that is what I do on my channel and I'm so excited to be here, so thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming. And we are also filming a video on her channel. So we're doing 5 things in this video, 5 things in her video, so make sure to check that out as well.
Alright, so the first habit that I was going to share here was masterminding. So as an entrepreneur, something that is really, really important to me is to have a community of like-minded people around me that I can talk to when I want to celebrate something, when there's something I want to discuss, when there's something that I'm struggling with. I work from home, you know, and I have for the past 2 years since starting my business, and the loneliness is kind of debilitating. Just to be dramatic, but you know, your emotions do blend a lot into each other when you have no one to celebrate with, when you have no one to kind of cry to essentially. So what I've been doing lately is making sure that I'm really getting out there and speaking to other entrepreneurs, that I'm having weekly calls with some of my business besties, and then I'm even having monthly meetups with 2 other entrepreneurs here in Melbourne. Just having someone to talk to or a group of people to talk to has not only increased my mindset so much for my business and made my business so much more enjoyable, but it has helped me so much to succeed even more. Some of the ideas that I generate in those mastermind sessions are just game changing.
How did you start your mastermind? How do you seek out people in your area that you can start a mastermind with? Like, how do you find that reaching out process?
Such a good question. So this is something that a lot of my clients and a lot of the people in my kind of membership and stuff really do struggle with. If you want to find people in your state or in your suburb or people that you can meet up with physically, which is my recommendation to have at least some of, you have to go to events. Like, you have to put yourself out there. I'm lucky enough that some of the women in my mastermind I've met in my own private Facebook group, and they did live in Melbourne. And like, that's really great. But a lot of the other entrepreneurial friends that I've had, I've met them at events, and simply, you know, you go by yourself because you have a crutch if you go with a friend.
So true.
So going by yourself, putting yourself out there, just being brave enough to walk up to someone who you feel you would vibe with, you know, you can be a little bit picky in that sense, and just going up there and starting a conversation. Another thing you can do is obviously reach out to people in Facebook groups. I've made a lot of the people that I do mastermind with friends with them just online. One of my friends, Natasha from the States, I just met her by sliding into her DMs pretty much because I loved her branding. But you know, and honestly, this is a funny story, but I was like nervous when I was messaging her. I'm like, what if she's a message back? But anyway, now we're like best friends, speak every single week, and she's a YouTuber as well, so that makes it even better. But yeah, you just have to put yourself out there is the long but short answer to that question.
I feel it. Do you have a video on finding a mastermind? I have a feeling you do, don't you?
Yeah, so I've got a video, one of my business part episodes, which is how to make friends and network online.
Yes, I will link that down below if you're more interested in that particular topic. So my next thing that has been changing my life recently is a VIDEOLABS course that I did quite recently with Tim Schmoyer. So if you don't know Tim Schmoyer, he's all about like helping people do YouTube better, grow their channels, grow their audience. So I did an 8-week course with Tim and a whole bunch of other YouTubers. It's pretty much like a mastermind really, isn't it? Yeah, so every single week we focus on a different topic. So our value proposition, what value our channel is providing, how to grow our audience, how to create more engaging videos. Sometimes you just get so stuck in a rut with the content that you're creating and you just have this tunnel vision. Like, I was like, yeah, I do this awesome, this awesome, this awesome. Like, what could I possibly change? And then I got so much really high quality feedback from them. And I was like, I've never even considered that before. So yeah, it's similar to a mastermind group, just getting together and chatting with people every single week about how to improve your channel. Not only does it keep you motivated, but also just got me really inspired and gave me a whole bunch of actionable ideas for ways to increase my channel's growth and all of that kind of thing. So
feedback, and just like with the mastermind tip, like just having a different perspective on what you're doing can be like mind-blowing, life-changing. So that's so good. I love that.
Yeah.
So my next one is actually a podcast that I started listening to recently. It's called For the Love of Money by Chris Harder. I love this podcast, and the reason why it's been game-changing for me is because money mindset is not necessarily something that I've thought about. Because I don't consider myself to have a negative relationship with money, I've never really dove deep into the topic of better money management or thinking about your money mindset. But this podcast is honestly so full of information. It's specifically, I guess, tailored to entrepreneurs, but I think it's relevant to anyone, about how you can have a better relationship with success, about how you can be better with money and really start thinking like a wealthy person, but like a generous wealthy person. And it really changes your perspective around, you know, the wealthy and how they act and how they think, and, you know, how you can give more and be better. And, you know, generosity and philanthropy is something that's really important to me, but just this podcast helps me to find new ways that I can implement those values into my own life. So For the Love of Money by Chris Harder, it is a really life-changing podcast, and I definitely recommend. If you're interested in developing your money mindset or developing your success mindset, then definitely check that one out.
Yes. Have you read You're a Badass with Money by
Yes. Oh my god, I've read it like 10 times.
Oh, stop.
And number one as well, like You Are a Badass. I love, like, the way she speaks is like directly to my situation.
She knows her people,
honestly.
for sure. Yeah. So my next one is a life vision. This is inspired by the 12-week year. I talked about that a little bit in Erin's video. So I listened to this on Blinkist, not a sponsored video, and it got me super inspired. And they talked a lot about having a life vision. So as someone who creates YouTube videos about intentional living, you'd think this is something that I had thought about more, but to be honest, it's kind of something I always pushed to the side because I was like, how would I know what I'm doing in 5 years time, 10 years time? And it just was like a little bit too overwhelming, I think, in the past. But something about listening to the audiobook, it just got me inspired and made me think that yes, this is something that I absolutely need to do. Just give me direction and sort of a path that I want to go down. So I created a little 12-week plan as well as a little 5-year vision. So it was literally like a one-pager. I did it in Canva, so anyone can do it. I'm gonna chuck it on the screen, but I might blur out my goals just because, like, you know, you gotta keep some things personal. But it's super simple and it just gives me like little actionable things that I can work towards in order to get to sort of my 5-year goals. So I found it really helpful. I'm doing weekly meetings with my sister, also talked about on Erin's channel, and we get out our little 5-year vision and we like talk through all of our little goals for the next 5 years, and it's just super inspiring every single time, and it really helps me to sort of visualize that 5-year plan and visualize myself 5 years ahead, which is something that I've not really done before. So that's been really helpful for me.
I love that so much because I'm such like a big vision person. I have to know like the why of why I'm doing something and what it's essentially leading to.
Yeah, totally.
So like even with my business and everything that I do, I have to know, okay, so say I'm creating this series on my YouTube channel, I have the series The Business Bar. It's actually because one of my biggest goals is that I want to have like a co-working space that turns into a bar to have like events and do filming and stuff there. So
that
it's
is
like
such a good plan.
everything, like having that big picture vision, even though you don't necessarily have to be completely tied to it, it just makes the everyday action steps that you need to take have so much more purpose behind it, because it's so easy to be like, I can't be bothered filming this video, or, you know, I can't be bothered doing that Instagram post. But if you know the big reason why all of that needs to happen today, it just makes it so much easier for you to just take action. Yeah,
and it gives you so much clarity and direction. And I think the why is really important as well, because sometimes, you don't feel like doing anything until you have that why behind it. So having that vision just gives you so much more reason to be doing what you're doing, as opposed to just like doing things at random without any real end goal.
So my final habit, and to be honest, this probably isn't that groundbreaking, and funnily enough, I actually did get this habit from the podcast that I just recommended, but it's a habit called pages before scrolls. So essentially what that is when you first wake up in the morning, before you even pick up your phone, reading at least 10 pages of a book.
Nice.
You know, I can fall into the habit of doing my morning routine really, really well and really, you know, consistently, but then I can also fall into the habit of having coffee in bed and scrolling on my phone for ages. And since developing the habit of just simply all I need to do before I wake up is, well, not before I wake up, but before I grab my phone and before I get up, is to just read those 10 pages. I've got my book right on my bedside table. My partner is also doing the same thing as well. It already sets me off on the right foot. I guess it's kind of like that habit of making your bed as soon as you wake up, but it's just such a good, like, easy gratification. Reading 10 pages of a book is actually not difficult, and quite often it ends up being so many more, but then I'm already on the right foot. I haven't been influenced immediately by what I see on social media, and instead I'm choosing how my day is going to look and how I'm going to feel in the morning. You know, sometimes you might jump on Instagram and you see something not so great, or someone said something that's not the most empowering thing, whereas in a book you've chosen the content, you are already taking charge of that day, and then everything else falls into place so much easier after that.
my God, you're just so popular.
No, that one said it's time to move your body.
Get up!
All my notifications. Have you planned your day? Are you
Oh,
hydrating?
bless. I love it. Such a vibe. So how did you get your partner? Like, I mean, obviously you didn't coerce him.
Yeah.
How do you get him on board with this kind of thing? Has he always been on board with that kind of thing? Like they're reading the book in the morning. Does he follow a similar like personal development type morning routine as you? Or like what's the go? Share your info.
He has come around to it. Like
Yep.
he definitely was not into self-development when he first came to Australia from the UK.
Okay.
But he's definitely come around to being more into self-development. And funnily enough, I know this is really bad, but he resonates with self-development when it does come from a male perspective.
Same with me. I resonate with females.
Yeah.
I think it's just a natural
course.
thing. Yeah.
So he kind of got into Tony Robbins in the beginning, and then, as I said, this tip did come from Chris Harder on his podcast, so he can kind of understand that and get on board from that perspective. But this habit is addictive because it is so empowering, because it's like straight away you just feel like you've accomplished something,
Yeah.
you've chosen your mood, you've learned something. If you're reading something inspiring, then all of a sudden you're going to be put into a good mood. So even after 2 days of doing it, he was addicted. And the thing is, like, we all want to read. We know reading's good for us, but sometimes it's just so hard to find the time. Or if you try read at the end of the day, you can be so distracted by thoughts. Whereas in the morning, it just is so easy to read. So when you've done it for a couple of times and all of a sudden you're halfway through a book,
Yeah.
it's like one of the habits I spoke on my channel about doing something every single day, just building up that confidence that you are slowly developing. It just gives you so much gratification, so you just want to continue to do it.
I will have the link to our video that we did on Erin's channel down below. So be sure to check out her channel. She knows many a thing about entrepreneurship, building your own business, being like a boss lady. And I will have the video to how to network, how to create little like mastermind groups down below as well, so you can check that out.
Thank you for having me so much. It was honestly so much fun.
Bye. Oh God, I get so weird. It's like